One of the features of this fourth industrial revolution is that it doesn't change what we are doing, but it changes us.
The focus, as all of you know, today is on what's now called the Internet of Bodies, involving medical implants and other kinds of devices that go inside your body and all together with the Internet as a whole comprise the Internet of Bodies.
The Internet of Bodies, or IOB, is actually an ecosystem. It's a bunch of devices that are connected to the Internet that contain software and that either collect personal health data about you or can alter the body's function. We think of the Internet of Bodies as this collection of all these devices as well as all the data that the devices are gathering about you.
So the Internet of Bodies, imagine the power of AI. What is artificial intelligence? It's a way to automate computation and cognition. So we can now automate learning, perceiving, doing computation. It's a pervasive general purpose technology that will be used in all of our industries, that will come into our professional networks, our private networks, our schools, our industries and our offices. What I wanted to epitomize with the Internet of Bodies is this notion that we will be under assessment, we will be under measure of computation in every aspect of our lives in the future. From what you eat, who you date, what you buy on the Internet, how much energy you use, but also what are your vital signs? How well are you doing in terms of health? What kind of specific genetic quirks do you have? What's your genome telling about your health, about your mental health, about how well you are doing, how well you are aging, what kind of disease you are susceptible to?
It has a bit of an Orwellian twinge to it.
Well,
the most obvious front is healthcare. I mean, think of the kind of healthcare you could provide to people if you really know what is happening every moment inside their bodies and inside their brains. Now, would you like to give it up because you're afraid of the other things that this kind of information might make possible? The big battle in this regard in the 21st century will be between privacy and health will win. Most people will be willing to give up their privacy in exchange for much better healthcare based on 24 hours monitoring of what's happening inside their bodies. I guess very soon people will walk around with biometric sensors on or even inside their bodies and will allow Google or Facebook or the Chinese government or whoever to constantly monitor what's happening inside my body. Most people, especially when it comes to life and death situations affecting themselves or their children or their spouses, would take the risk. I mean, healthcare will win, and in the wake of healthcare, we'll have all the other things making use of this data. We are great, we have these wonderful high-tech companies, we make a lot of money out of it, it raises our power in the world. What can be wrong with it? This debate about privacy versus security is as old as civilization, you can say. But there is something new now. For the first time in history, it's possible to completely eliminate privacy. Mm-hmm. It was just never possible before, and it is possible now. Something fundamental has changed. Mm-hmm. I mean, dictators always dreamt about completely eliminating privacy, monitoring everybody all the time and knowing everything you do, and not just everything you do, but even everything you think and everything you feel. Whether it's a tyrant in ancient Greece or whether it's Stalin, they always dreamt about it. They could never do it because it was technically impossible. Now it's possible.
A world where we don't have privacy anymore as we knew it. So privacy is a notion that my grandmother, has a kind of a perspective on. All of that would be cancelled. The idea is that human beings could be followed by their own drones, their personal drones, that are streaming personal data, intimate biological data about each individual, and following them as as a digital avatar, as a guardian drone. You can do already a lot with drones. So drones are, it's a robot, right? That's where
if it can mow the lawn, I'm in.
that's where robotic merges with AI, right?
Yeah.
So a drone is a robot. It's the navigation system is powered by AI. Now, with a drone, you can drop vaccines, you can drop blood in Rwanda, in a remote location where nobody has access to either vaccines or blood for transfusion.
We're going to start the When Humans Become Cyborg session. You know, I always want to be a cyborg. I'm waiting for the day to become one, but let's see. Like today, we like to really talk about the recent developments of brain-computer interface and how that's really blurring the line between man and machine.
And one issue that's really interesting is bodily integrity. So they want to know things like, you know, do I own my implant? Does my implant become part of me? We have to solve the wiring problem. And so there are people, you know, like Elon Musk, who are trying to work on closed-loop systems where the read of the brain and the input into the brain all happens within the brain in an implant that then is actually a very small implant that's put just underneath the skull.
I mean, this is obviously sounding increasingly like a Black Mirror episode. Everything that's encoded in memory, you could upload. You could basically store your memories as a backup and restore the memories. Then ultimately, you could potentially download them into a new body or into a robot body. The future is going to be weird.
Instead of another book, I'll recommend a TV series. I think that Black Mirror is maybe the best science fiction TV show of the last year.
In this world, we're all so caught up in our own heads. It's easy to lose sight of what's real.
You said you don't know how much time there is. What does that mean?
It's important that you realize there is a small medical procedure involved.
Sorry for a game?
I didn't expect to find myself living in the future, but here I fucking well am.
So you recently logged your first kill?
Huh?
And how did that feel?
They filmed me.
Filmed you through my computer camera.
You ready?
If we drill down into the numbers, you have got a solid popularity arc here.
No one is this happy. A 2-year-old with a fucking balloon isn't this happy.
Singularity is when computers learn to outsmart man like women did years ago.
You are so adorable.
We're genuinely empathetic as a species. We don't actually really want to kill each other.
Gotcha.
This means fun. Or it should.
The reality is that almost everyone, over time, will develop brain and spine problems. These range from minor to very severe, but if you live long enough, everyone's going to basically have some kind of neurological disorder. And these range, from memory loss to brain damage. But the thing that's important to appreciate is that an implantable device can actually solve these problems. I think a lot of people don't quite realize that. But all of your senses, your sight, hearing, feeling, pain, these are all electrical signals sent by neurons to your brain. And if you can correct these signals, you can solve everything from memory loss, hearing loss, blindness, paralysis, depression, insomnia.
So if our brains are connected and you record, for instance, what are you possibly thinking, what are you, basically what areas of your brain are being stimulated at a certain point. There is even like devices that can collect what you're seeing, measuring your feelings either through facial recognition devices, micro muscle movements and so on. These data is going to be stored somewhere, so it might be in a cloud service. What will be this cloud service? Where is the servers being located? Is it in Brazil? Is it in China? Is it in the United States? So depending on the jurisdiction, you have a different approach regarding how that data will be treated. So this is point number one. Point number two is that we become, therefore, sensors. So when you meet a new person and you shake hands, will we have to sign like a privacy notice to talk with that person? Like the person will say, so this is my terms of use, so you have to click this button before we start talking, because everything that we'll be talking will be recorded and so on. This is my privacy notice. And say, no, I don't agree. So, okay, bye-bye, I cannot talk to you. So that's the type of things that we have to think about, because when the human brain and like the human body becomes full of sensors, data is being collected, and there is legislation that actually requires the consent of other people in order to collect data about them. So this is like, sounds like a crazy example, but actually by law, that is already required.
No, I think maybe in a couple of decades when people look back, the thing they will remember from the COVID crisis is this is the moment when everything went digital. And if this was the moment when everything became monitored, that we agreed to be surveyed all the time, not just in authoritarian regimes, but even in democracies. And maybe most importantly at all, this was the moment when surveillance started going under the skin. Because really we haven't seen anything yet. I think the big process that's happening right now in the world is hacking human beings, the ability to hack humans, to understand deeply what's happening within you, what makes you go. And for that, the most important data is not what you read and who you meet and what you buy, it's what's happening inside your body.